One Spider-Man is scientifically proven to be overwhelmingly more powerful, and it is not even a contest. What I uncovered about Tobey Maguire's version in a hidden No Way Home scene changes the entire debate. You must stick around to the end to see the single piece of evidence that proves he is unstoppable. Once you truly examine what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man versus Tom Holland Spider-Man version of the character has survived, endured, overpowered, and risen above, the difference between them is not a small debate about preference. It's an enormous gulf in raw physical dominance, combat experience, durability, pain tolerance, emotional resilience, and sheer Spider-Man essence. No Way Home unintentionally created the perfect laboratory test for this comparison, because both characters faced the same villains, under the same stakes, in the same timeline, without artificial advantages or excuses. The Doc Ock fight alone sets the tone. Tom Holland's Spider-Man, boosted by the Iron Spider suit, one of the most advanced pieces of combat technology in the MCU, still gets overpowered, clamped down, slammed into concrete, stripped of control, and openly outclassed by Otto Octavius. Even when Tom is fighting out of pure rage because Otto talked down on MJ, Otto dominates Tom, even at Tom's emotional peak. But when you shift your eyes back to Tobey in Spider-Man 2, you see a completely different story. Tobey's Peter was exhausted, burnt out, emotionally drained, suffering from fluctuating powers, losing confidence, holding back because of his affection for Otto as a mentor, and even with all of those handicaps crushing him at once, he still goes toe-to-toe with Doc Ock in the bank fight. When Tobey returns later with his full strength restored, he doesn't just keep up with Otto, he overwhelms him to such a degree that Otto desperately resorts to hostage-taking, surprise attacks, and psychological manipulation just to keep the fight going. If Otto can defeat a rage-amped Iron Spider Tom but struggles to survive against Tobey, even weakened Tobey, the comparison already begins to collapse under its own weight. And that's only the beginning. The Green Goblin fights widen the gap even further. In No Way Home, Tom Holland's Spider-Man fires punches with full force, not pulling back, not holding back, not trying to restrain himself, and Norman Osborn laughs in his face. He throws Tom through floors, smashes him through walls, manhandles him like a rag doll, mocks Tom's efforts, and dominates both the apartment fight and most of the final battle. Tom only gains the upper hand when he dips into pure rage. Meanwhile, Tobey's Peter fought Norman 3 different times and won every single encounter. Despite holding back, despite being emotionally inexperienced, despite being younger, and despite facing a goblin who explicitly describes him as being practically invincible, Norman Osborn himself admits Tobey is the only person capable of stopping him. In the final showdown, Goblin wins Tobey, tries to manipulate him psychologically by ambushing Mary Jane and a group of young adults. But when Tobey finally unleashes, the duel he delivers is so intense that Norman begins begging for mercy. And what makes the whole thing more devastating for Tom Holland's case is that by Spider-Man 3, Tobey goes on to defeat Harry Osborn, who is repeatedly implied to be even stronger and more dangerous than Norman. And yet Tom struggled against Norman even without Norman's full arsenal. The lizard comparison is another landslide. Tom gets ragdolled by Connors, overwhelmed, tossed around with ease, and only escapes through outside help. Andrew Garfield at least puts up more resistance in TASM and later overpowers Lizard in No Way Home. But Tobey is the only one who actually fights Lizard one-on-one, physically matching him on the crane and taking hits, only when Andrew accidentally webs him. Electro reveals the most painful difference of all. Arc Reactor Electro blasts Tom and Andrew so hard they scream in pain, yet Tobey, wearing no armor, no tech, no upgrades of any kind, gets struck by the same energy and doesn't so much as flinch. He stands there tanking lightning like it's a warm breeze. The Sandman comparison isn't much better for Tom, because Tom needs Sandman's help multiple times to survive Electro, and relies on him as a shield. Tobey in Spider-Man 3 dodges giant Sandman swings, breaks apart massive portions of his sand body during the construction site battle, endures hits from a massive sand titan, and still finds ways to outsmart him. And when the debate shifts to equipment and intelligence, Tom's advantages crumble instantly. Taser webs don't mean anything when Vulture can tank them. And when Tobey shrugs off lightning blasts from a being far more powerful than anything Tom has ever faced. Tom's mechanical limbs aren't an advantage when Tobey spent an entire movie fighting someone with 4 extremely mechanical limbs and eventually dominated him. Stark Tech doesn't close the gap when Tom gets dismantled while wearing it. Intelligence doesn't overcome veteran instinct when Tobey has survived more beatdowns, fought more foes alone, and lived through stress, life or death confrontations. Tom's webbing runs out. Tobey's webbing is organic and infinite. Tom's webbing is weaker. Tobey tears through Andrew's webs, which restrain the lizard of being much stronger than Tom. And the final proof arrives in the most understated moment of No Way Home. Tom, in full bloodlust, charges at Norman with the intent to unalive. Tobey steps between them, catches Tom's strongest harm effortlessly, and stops him cold, without shaking, without sweating, without showing even a hint of struggle. In that single second, the entire argument ends. It was the physical embodiment of everything the movies had been showing us for 20 years. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is simply on a different level. Stronger, tougher, more experienced, more seasoned, more durable, more battle-tested. And when you line up every villain showing, every durability feat, every strength moment, every performance under stress, every scene where their instinct and power truly shine, the conclusion becomes so absolute that the phrase, "not even close," feels almost too soft. Tobey doesn't just edge Tom out, he overwhelms him in almost every measurable category of combat. In a fight between the two, with no holding back, no emotional restrictions, no narrative handicaps, and no plot armor. The truth is simple. Tobey wins, always, and it's not close. It was never close. It will never be close. So there you have it. The definitive breakdown of why Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man dominates. Now, I want to hear your side. Tell me which feat of strength you think is the most impressive. Debate which version has the best villain roster. Let me know if you think any other Spider-Man could defeat him. Share this with a fellow fan, and make sure you follow for more content that settles the biggest movie debates.